Good afternoon. You are Miss Vijaylakshmi Bishnoi
Yes, sir.
and from Haryana.
Right, sir.
Where did you study law?
Sir, from Punjab University, Chandigarh.
Okay. So, what aspects of law did you study?
So, in my graduation, we studied a number of subjects ranging from constitutional law to torts, contracts, civil, and criminal laws. Uh, Apart from that, sir, international law, environmental laws, some specialized laws such as IT law and others. And in my post graduation, it was in constitutional and administrative law.
No, in the matter of the constitutional law. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me three progressive features of the Indian Constitution?
Right, sir. So first and foremost is that Constitution is a living document which provides an ample scope for the interpretation to judiciary as well as the amendment avenues present. And so second is the number of fundamental rights along with the duties which are being enshrined. It upholds that no rights come without the duties. And so third is the quasi-federal nature of our constitution, which allows powers to both center as well as states. So these are the three progressive things as per me.
You also worked in the State Information Commission for a short while.
Yes, I have done internship there.
So, what do you think the Right to Information Act has provided to the citizens of India?
So the objective of RTI was to increase the transparency in the governance, and that has by and large provided a platform to the citizens to raise their concerns with respect to various government initiatives or the services which are being provided. And so we have seen various scams which were being unearthed due to the presence of RTI.
When you're working in the you must have heard about the exceptions that are
Right,
there
sir.
for furnishing information. Under which section of the Act are those exceptions provided?
Sir, mainly there are two sections. One is Section 8, which enlists various exceptions. The information can be denied on the grounds of national security or the relations with foreign states or in legislative matters with respect to the trade secrets or the personal information. And so apart from that, Section 24 is also there, which denies information pertaining to the organizations involved in the national security concerns, such as IB and RAW and other agencies. Ma'am?
Vijaylakshmi, how are you?
I am fine, ma'am. Thank you.
You have time. You have a whole month to go for your interview, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to ask you, you've done some paper on war crimes with respect to the Hamas-Israel war.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you find out what is the outcome of your research? Now, where do you see the whole thing going, the war going forward? Any resolutions? Yeah.
So, ma'am, I mainly dealt with three perspectives. First is the historical connotations, where the war started, what all agreements have happened. Second is the legal framework within which the war crimes can be governed with. And then third are the challenges, that what are the challenges present in this particular context and how we can resolve them. Ma'am, talking about the challenges, the first was with respect to the lack of distrust between both the parties, which has prevented the peace deal since a long time due to the territory.
Lack of distrust. What did you say? Sorry?
Ma'am, lack of trust between both the parties.
Distrust. Okay, all right. Yeah, please.
I think I have misspelled the word. Yes, ma'am. And ma'am, second is with respect to the use of the weapons which are being used in the war. Because there is a principle of proportionality as well as distinction in the war crimes that needs to be adhered to. But when it comes to the weapons such as the autonomous weapon systems, which causes casualties at the large scale, it becomes very difficult to define the borderline. And ma'am, third is with respect to the nature with which the international parties recognize any state or not. For instance, Hamas has not been recognized by many of the nations. So the question of whether a non-state actor can be held liable or not. So ma'am, such intricacies were being dealt in my paper.
What do you think they can be exonerated because it's not defined? Can they be exonerated from the war crimes committed by them because they're non-state actors?
No, ma'am. As per the Geneva Convention, mainly the common Article 3. Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, even the non-state actors can be brought under the legal purview because common Article 3 of the Geneva Conventions covers them as well. So, whether they are state actors or not, it does not matter much.
But where do you see this war going now? There's been a ceasefire, but no ceasefire now. What's happening? You think can be resolution?
Ma'am, this ceasefire can be a step ahead to resolve this particular issue, wherein the first phase has ended. And ma'am, it would be yet to seen that what unfolds in the second and the subsequent steps, because as per the previous agreement, the release of more hostage was envisaged, and until and unless that is being done, a conclusive statement cannot be given. What could be the future course of action, ma'am, given even the international players are also involved, such as the United States.
And who else is involved? Which other international players are involved?
Ma'am, few mediators such as the Qatar, Egypt, and the United States who have tried to mediate this peace deal.
You've also done in mediation, one of your things is mediation as well. So you think mediation is an effective tool at the international level as well, besides bilateral, sort of commercial and other activities, etc. In international affairs, also it is an effective tool, you think?
Ma'am, given the nature of international relations and international law, that is considered as a weak law. I think mediation provides a good alternative to such institutions, wherein the states who have better understanding of the issues and who can maneuver the interest, so they can utilize this tool very effectively.
You've also done something on women's empowerment, I was reading. Yeah? Women's empowerment you've done?
No, ma'am, as such.
You haven't, okay, sorry. So, do you think representation of women in law, in the legal profession, in the foreign policy profession, in the foreign policy realm, it is much below power? What are the reasons, do you think? It's much below power. What should be the actual numbers? They're very less. What do you think are the reasons for this?
Ma'am, first and foremost would be the historical connotations only. Given the patriarchal nature of our society, women have been at a disadvantageous position with respect to the education and the opportunities which they have received. And ma'am, second could be the lack of role models as compared to the men counterparts.
So, what is the solution? Any solution? Quick 1 or 2 points.
Ma'am, the empowerment of women is something which can resolve such issues, and that has to be multifaceted. For instance, the educational empowerment, wherein the women can be brought more into the educational institutions, especially in the higher education and in the specialized fields. Apart from that, ma'am, the economic empowerment of women is, I think, the foremost step which can further lead to resolving of this particular issue. And ma'am, the government. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. The policy and the government interventions also act as an enabler for the women's participation.
So in this context, may I ask you, you are already there, you've done your LLM, you've done your LLB, and you're doing well in your legal profession. Why have you shifted to civil services? Why are you not there to, you have the awareness, you have done the studies, why are you not continuing to contribute to the legal profession as a woman, giving the women's voice and projecting it there in the legal profession?
Ma'am, since my school days, I had more inclination toward the administrative jobs. And for that only, I pursued my legal career. And while doing my law degree, I came across various internships and the programs. And I found myself more inclined in the administrative part rather than in the judicial one. Ma'am, because administrative is, I believe, a step foremost to the judiciary. That is a implementation part. We go to the judiciary when the right has been infringed. So I would like to work on the forefront of this policy implementation.
All right. Last question. Very quick, 2 or 3 main points of what you think of India's foreign policy approach in the last few years. What do you think of it? Would it have been better? Is it effective? And what is it?
Yes, ma'am. A clear shift from the non-alignment to the multi-alignment in India's foreign policy is showing India's increasing stature worldwide. And we have been very successful in maneuvering our interest where we have conflicting interest in both the parties. For instance, in Russia and Ukraine, we have been able to maintain our interest. For instance, buying the oil from Russia, despite maintaining good ties with the Western nations. So, ma'am, that is one thing. Apart from that, India has been vocal with respect to the rights of the global south as well. So, the domination of the Western powers is somewhat countered by the India's approach. And, ma'am, even the world is for looking forward for India's cooperation in various arenas.
Is it the right approach? Effective and right approach?
Ma'am, can you please repeat?
Is this approach by India effective and the right approach for India?
Ma'am, given the pragmatic and the practical realities of the international relations, I believe this is a good approach which India has adopted, wherein it can stand for its own strategic interest rather than bowing down in front of any one party.
Strategic autonomy also. Okay, thank you.
Yes. Hello, Vijaylakshmi. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Vijaylakshmi, you mentioned that you have done intern in the Haryana State Information Commission.
Right.
Sometimes it is that right to information is basically becoming a right to deny information. Why people are saying so?
Sir, there are two major reasons to it. So first is the non-disclosure of the information by the PIOs at the first place. The RTI mandates proactive disclosure, but the PIOs are reluctant to do so. That is the first stage of denial. And so second is when an application is being filed, even then information which is supplied, sometimes it is not complete or a false information is being provided. And so third is the use of the exceptions by the PIOs to deny the right to information.
Honorable Supreme Court has also given verdict which basically gives empowerment to this to deny the information.
Sir, I am not exactly aware of the judgment.
Okay, no issues. You also mentioned that you have a hobby of practicing mindfulness through meditation.
Right, sir.
So, if I ask how meditation is different from concentration, what is your view?
So I believe concentration is one of the part of meditation. That can be one of the objective also of the meditation which we seek to achieve. But sir, meditation, apart from concentrating on one thing, that can also involve observing the thought patterns of oneself or being more aware of oneself. So that is a more broad-based concept than concentration.
Okay, if I add one more word to it, how attention is different from concentration?
So I am unable to comprehend the answer to this at the moment.
Okay. No issues. No issues. Perfectly fine. And can you tell me what is the status of sedition law in India?
So the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita has updated the section with respect to sedition and has included multiple other facets such as the economic crimes or the use of electronic media to this spread the feeling of the sedition. And so it has mainly broadened the scope of sedition. So
what is your view? Is basically bringing this sedition law in the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita is a valid ground of the government? What is your view?
So sedition was already present in the Indian Penal Code, and but given the fact that this restricts the liberty of an individual and it imposes very harsh punishment, so it should be used with very cautious, as has already been mentioned by the Honorable Supreme Court. But sir, there needs to be a balance between the national security as well as the individual's interest, I think.
Okay. Vijaylakshmi, if I give you one idea to evaluate, to tell me any two main pros and two important cons, positive and negatives. The idea is one nation, one police. How do you evaluate it?
Sir, like, are you talking about the recruitment to police services through All India services in that sense, or?
Uh, One nation, one India should have one police. Like currently, the police is in the state list. So if there is only one nation, like one police is there, then if, or you can say the changing from police from the state list to the central list, then how the scenario will be.
I think the present distribution is working well because the law and order is something which needs to be catered by the state governments at the ground level. And so even the state police works in the local environment of a particular state, which deals with the various local aspects. For instance, if in the bordering states there would be certain different issues than in the states in the central part of India. So, sir, I believe the policing system is well placed in the state list itself rather than going for one nation, one police.
Okay, fine. Can you relate the relation between administration and judiciary, that how administration will help in reducing the burden of the judiciary?
So, as stated earlier, administration is something which deals with the implementation and execution part. So, if that is done properly, I think a majority of the issues would be resolved. So, for instance, there are various schemes which the administrator has to implement. And if that is not being done, then people go to the judiciary. So, that would certainly reduce the number of cases.
Okay, okay. You have also done LLM in constitution. So if I ask what is the key difference between the power of president in India and the power of president in US with respect to the waging war?
Sir, I am not exactly sure of the provisions of US Constitution, but sir, if I may be allowed to guess based on the presidential system of the United States, I believe the US president has more power because he is the de jure head of the state rather than a de facto of the head of the state who has but in India, sir, the president works on the advice of aid and advice of Council of Ministers.
In the recent budget, what is the status of gender budgeting? Has government increased it or decreased it? How much percentage?
So I think it is somewhere around 8% of the budget.
Good. And has it increased from the last one, or has it remained same or decreased?
So I am unable to recall. I have read about it, but I think I missed the point whether it increased or decreased.
Okay. And what is the status of budget with respect to the agricultural sector?
So there is one new scheme which has been introduced, PM Dhan Dhanya Yojana, in the
No, I'm
budget.
asking about the amount. I'm asking about the total amount, budget amount.
Sir, I am not aware of the exact amount. Sir.
Okay. My last question is, what is the revised limit of MSME in this budget?
So I have to read more on it, sir.
Okay. That's it. Thank you so much, Vijaylakshmi. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
When it comes to India joining an international treaty as one of the signatories, what is the difference in positions between India and the US?
So, with respect to which treaty?
Any international treaty. No, I'm talking about the constitutional features. I'm not talking about a particular treaty. I'm talking about what is the difference in the positions with regard to the constitution. With regard to the American Constitution, even if the executive decides to make America a partner, it will have to be ratified. In India, is it so?
So, the ratification. Sir, I am not able to recall. I have to read more on it, sir.
Can you think of some changes in the law by which the Indian family system can be strengthened?
So, one could be the protection if provided for the elderly or the parents, if that can be done under the law. I think that can resolve the twin issues of deserting the parents as well as strengthening the Indian family system.
Thank you. We come to the end of the interview. I just like to mention two things. Basically, you're a very good candidate, but I think you need to bring some balance in your answers, particularly when you looked at the legal position. When I asked you about progressive features of the Indian Constitution, we should have talked about things like directive principles of state policy and things like that. You moved on a different direction.
Okay, sir.
So I think that was where the speciality was missing in the answer.
Okay, sir.
Second thing which I would like to stress is the fact that you have to be a little more imaginative. I'm talking about strengthening the nuclear family, not about bringing parents into the picture. The
Right,
nuclear
sir.
family is just husband, wife, and the children.
Right, sir.
Even that relationship is under threat now. So, how do you strengthen this relationship? That's the question.
Okay, sir.
So, I would have expected you to be a little more focused and imaginative, clear in your answer. I'm sure you'll do very well. Yeah. Manjuji, please.
Thank you, sir.
I just add that you have, through the interview, you had a very worried look. So please avoid that. Be relaxed, be confident. When you have knowledge gaps, I think the worry comes on your face. So don't let that worry come on your face. Reflect on your face. And please, if your knowledge gaps are not there, if your knowledge is good, so reading is required. And that will, help you to be more focused in your answers and give precise answers. So you need to work a little bit on that. You have time till the 4th of April. So please just practice a little more. Overall, you are good. I wish you all the best. You should do well.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Vijaylakshmi, just want to add few things. First thing is that you need to study budget because budget is very important and you are lacking in that area. Also, you need to learn the facts of budget, especially with respect to some percentages or some amount. And especially when question was asked about the, suppose I was asking about the status of the agriculture budget, you were telling me about the scheme, which was not even asked. So you must take care what the question has been asked. You should not just answer something related to the question. You need to be very precise while giving answers. Second thing, as I was asking you to evaluate the idea, one nation, one police. So you were telling now currently the status which is mentioned in the state list is right, and there is no need something like that. So you should have mentioned about the constitutional frameworks. You should have mentioned about some articles. So while delivering answer, try to use the constitutional framework so that your answer carries some weight also. And one more thing that when I asked about something meditation or something like that, so you also need to be very precise on it, because whatever you're mentioning in your def question may be asked from that. So how exactly the meditation is different from even mindfulness? So there are some related words like alertness is there, focus is there, concentration is there, mindfulness is there. So these are some related words. You must know exact difference and you must be able to tell in the very short. And also as you have worked in the Haryana State Information Commission, so I was also asking about the judgment of the Supreme Court, and that judgment basically about the using of right to privacy, Article 21. On the basis of our privacy, the information can be basically denied. So this became itself a very basic ground. So you must read about the Haryana State Information Commission and with also about the Union one, because there are challenges what are there in this. So you have worked here, so question may be asked from this thing also. Otherwise, one more thing, as mentioned by ma'am also, that sometimes it looks that you are nervous, although you are not. You are a good candidate. You are confident. You have a structured answer in your mind. But sometimes it shows that you are nervous. So you need to be very expressive. You need to maintain the level of energy while giving answer. And sometimes, obviously, you can smile so that interview goes well. That's it. You are a very good candidate. And when is your interview due?
Sir, 4th April.
4th April. Okay, you have sufficient time. Do read budget, and I think I wish you best of luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Why are you maintaining such a serious look on your face? Why don't you smile a little more? Hmm? You are not under some investigation, right? This is not a criminal investigation that's going on. It's an interview. Relax a little
Yeah.
more. You'll feel much better. You'll make the interview board feel better. You'll get more marks.
Okay, sir.
And secondly, since you are a student of constitutional law, you can expect a number of questions on the Constitution. Give balanced views with regard to the Indian Constitution. That's very important.
Okay, sir.
Okay, particularly, see, it's a constitution where we have borrowed from a number of other constitutions, isn't it? So, progressive features, you have so many progressive features. So, you should be able to speak on them with ease, right? And
Yes, sir.
and alertness. You see, the reason you are not alert is because you are assessing yourself at the end of every question, whether have I done right, have I done wrong. You're trying to assess yourself. Am I right? Don't do this assessment. Every question as it comes, finish the question, go to the next question. If you keep assessing yourself at the end of every question, you will never be able to focus on the next question. That's the problem. Otherwise, you see, the point is you have a very dignified appearance, you're very composed, you have a good background in law. You should you should be able to make it this time. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So many lakhs of people have written the exam, and you are only 2,500 people. You come up to the interview stage.
Yes, sir.
So this is the time when you should focus on the interview entirely. Either you focus on the interview, clear it this time, or you keep studying for one more year. Which is better? It's obvious. It's clear that it's better to study for 1 month rather than to study for 1 year.
Yes, sir.
So please focus, make yourself a little more alert, and smile a little more. Make the atmosphere in the room a little more relaxed.
Okay, sir.
Is there anything else you would like to ask us?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Thank you. All the best.
Thank you so much, ma'am.